I had no business doing alterations on this dress. Listen, no business whatsoever. You know those times where you ask me, Monday, do you ever say no? This should have been the time that I said no, but no, I didn't. Anyways, story time. So, a while ago, a few years ago, I was minding my business, just relaxing, probably working. I don't know what I was doing. But an acquaintance reached out, sent me a text message, and she was like, "Are you still doing alterations?" And I was like, "Yes." Why? So she was like, "Well, I'm in Joann's." And for those of you that don't know Joann's is a fabric and craft supply store here in the US. And so I think she was looking at fabrics, or I'm not sure what she was doing in there. She was like, "Well, I'm in Joann's and there's a lady here who's asking about alterations or getting a dress altered." So I was like, okay, tell me more. Well, what is she doing in Joann's? She was like, well, that was the only place that she could really think of maybe finding someone who could help her, since it's like a craft store and a fabric store. But she was here buying fabric for her dress. And I was like, well, if she's buying fabric for her dress, she knows what she's doing, right? And she's like, no. She doesn't know what she's doing, and she's asking the attendants, people who are helping out, helping to cut fabric, and asking them if they know anyone that does alteration. So I just happened to be standing right behind her, and she was like, okay, I actually know a person, but let me find out if she's available. So here I am asking you. So I was like, okay, what exactly does she need? She's like, well, she doesn't have the dress here. She just has the fabric, and maybe she would be better at explaining what exactly she needs. So can I give her your contact information so that she can reach out and you figure things out? She's like, I just didn't want to give her your number and you were not doing alterations anymore. I was like, okay, that's fine. Give her my number. So she's like, okay, this is her name and this is her number. Just expect a call from her. So that passed. After a few minutes, the lady, did she call or did she text? I think she texted. And she was like, yeah, I met this person and they gave me your information and they said that you could do alterations. And I was like, okay, what exactly do you need? She's like, it's so hard for me to explain. So I'll need you to kind of see it and just advise me and let me know what exactly that you can do. So I was like, okay, we arranged a time for her to come in, set up an appointment, and she came in. So she said this was for a wedding. She's actually ordered it from a site called Light in the Box. She ordered the dress from there, and obviously this is an overseas site, and the dress took over a month to arrive, and the wedding was going to be in, I would say, maybe about 2 weeks. And she was a mother figure of the people who were getting married. And so she was so nervous, anxious about the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, let's figure it out. So I was like, have you tried on the dress? And she was like, yes, I tried it on, but I couldn't pull it up. Okay, that already says to me the dress is small. If you can't pull up the dress, if you can't zip up a dress, the dress is small. So I know this, but I'm not exactly going to say that to you, just because I know already high levels of stress, anxiety, and all of that. And so I was like, okay, so you can't pull on the dress. I was like, how far does it go? She was like, just past my hips. I was like, okay. In my head, I'm like, okay, this is not just small, this is small. So I was like, I'll have you change into the dress so that I can see how far the dress goes up, and you can keep your clothes on, because usually, like, when people change into their dresses or whatever garments they have, whatever pieces they have, obviously you don't want like other clothing underneath, so that we can see the true fit. So I was like, keep your clothes on so that we can see how far it goes. So she did that, and for sure it just went past the hips. And I'm like, okay. So I had her come out of the dress because there was no use in having her in that dress. It was small. It was really, really small. And it was a beautiful dress. I must say, it was a beautiful dress, and it was well made. No complaints about that. It was just really small. I said, what size did you order? And she was like, well, I ordered the size that I usually order. That was mistake number one. If you've seen any of my videos that are advising you on like ordering and sizes and all that, please stay clear from ordering based off of the size that you think you are. So in my head, I'm a medium. I wear a medium. But guess what? I am fitting extra large clothing. I hate it, but that's what fits me. So we have this notion in our head on like what exactly fits us, but the reality could be something else. And so she ordered, I want to say 8, and she was a size 14. But whatever the case, the dress was small, small. All right, so this is the dress that she ordered, or something very, very close. I tried to look for it, but I couldn't find the exact one because the one that I saw even had the color and all of that. But this was years ago, so they must have like changed it up a bit. All right, so this is the design. This was the front, just different views. This was the back, and yeah, it was pretty close to what I had done alterations on, especially this ruching or pleating in the back. And another view of the dress, another view. So this was pretty much the dress. What I think happened, remember I told you she was a size 8. She ordered a size 8. She could comfortably fit, from just my guesstimation, she could comfortably fit in a size 14. So in her head, she was a size 8. And so one thing to be careful about, you can see there's US, UK, and Europe. So I don't know if there was a mix-up with what she picked here, but let's assume she went with the US size 8. She was actually a 14, so such a big difference. And even if, let's say, or she did pick a size 14 or a size 8 in UK, you can see how small or smaller this would have been. There could have been a mix-up with how she picked the sizing. I always say go by your body measurements. So this is just the size guide. Every brand, every site should have this. Now they're starting to include like how you can measure yourself. And mostly the measurements are bust, waist, hip, because those are the biggest variations that are there. So size 14, and I actually did measure her. So I think this was like about a 40. I can't remember, again, this was years ago. And so size 14, this is her bust, about 39 and a half. Then you look at the size 8 and it's 35 and a half. The hip that it wasn't even going over, 43. And then a size 8 is 38 and a half. So these are the measurements that you want to go by. Once you figure out what your measurements are, go by the largest measurement. So let's say, just an example again, I'm a 41 bust, 32 waist, and 44 hip. So I'm going to look 41 bust. Which size corresponds with that? So here we go. It's a size 16 US and a UK size 20. Waist, and actually let me say waist 35. So I have to look for which one is 35 here. Okay, so the 16W will fit me better than it would the 33, because I'll be squeezing myself in a 33. And then hips 44. So I will actually have to order a size 16W to comfortably fit in a dress. So I don't think she looked at the body measurements and compared to that. Like I said, we usually go by just whatever size we have in our head and decide that's what we're going to buy. And then when it comes, it doesn't fit up. I was like, so you were in Joann's. What exactly were you doing in Joann's? She was like, well, I was buying fabric because someone told me, oh, you could probably add more fabric to the dress to kind of expand it. And I was like, no. And I said no because the style of the dress, there was not really much that you could do to expand it without changing the style pretty much of the dress. And when you start getting into things like that, it becomes a reconstruction of the dress. It becomes a different style, different dress, and you might as well just buy another dress. And I asked, I was like, okay, this dress is small, and I don't, the way it is styled, I don't think I could really do much about it. Why don't you just get another dress? She's like, no, this was the dress that was agreed upon. I don't want to disappoint the family. And you could tell that she was really in distress. And stress, distress, dress. Anyways, trying to make light of this situation because it was a hot mess. Anyways, I'm sure you can make it work. Just please help me. And I looked, I was like, there's really nothing that I could do. This style of dress and just the intricate details, I was just like, there's not much that I can do in terms of alterations for this. If you want this exact dress, I can't do anything. Maybe let's just find something comparable so that you can order or go in store and find something, and then we can go from there. She was like, no, I really, really need your help. I was like, okay. The only suggestion that I could give is probably doing like a lace-up tie corset thing in the back. And knowing like the type of dresses and styles that kind of complements, that look complements, this might not work out for this dress. And she was like, no, I kind of like the concept, so please just try. We can do that. I was like, okay, I will do that. I will use some of the fabric that you had bought from Joann's. I will use that and see what I could do. So she left, and I had taken her measurements and everything just to figure out like how much to expand and how much the corset lace-up ties should be, how wide, and all of that. As well as the dress, because she couldn't really pull it up all the way over her hips, I actually had to let out the dress just a little bit. There wasn't much to let out. And so I was like, I'll let it out as much as I can so that at least you'll be able to pull up the dress. And then the back, we just have to figure out the corset lace-up ties and all of that. Okay, fine. Went to work. This is the back. So we agreed that I was going to remove the zipper and the lace to accommodate for the loops and the panel to create that corset lace-up tie effect. Even as I was working on this dress, I was just like, no, to me, this doesn't look nice. This doesn't look tasteful. This doesn't look, it just looked wrong. It just looked wrong. I don't know. You tell me. I mean, as I put the corset lace-up ties on, it seemed fine when she wasn't in the dress. So I finished that. I was just like, yeah, it looks nice on the mannequin, all of that, but called her up. I was like, I'm done. You have to come in for a fitting. Let's see if this is going to work. So she comes in, and she manages to put on the dress, pull up the dress, and actually, you know, this dress was small. So not only around the hip area, the arms were small as well. And so I tried to let out everywhere as much as I could, but I was just like, eh. Anyways, so she tries on the dress. I'm like, how do you feel? What do you feel about the dress? She was like, no, I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work. I like it. And I was like, I still stand on you ordering another dress, because I don't know. I just don't think this is very flattering. And she was like, no, I really like it. No, this is gonna attract too much, I don't want to say too much attention, but people are gonna look and be like, that's interesting. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I would be like, that's an interesting style of dress. So that's an interesting thing that's going on behind. And I mean, no one can take away from the bride, no one can take away from the wedding, but it would definitely be a conversation piece after the wedding, at least for me. So I was just like, no, I still think you should order another dress or buy another dress in store. She was like, no, I think I can make this work. I think I can make this work. She said she was happy. She took the dress, left, and I told her, I was like, okay, let me know if you actually wear the dress or if you decide to pick something else. I just keep me informed, keep me up to date. So I believe the wedding passed. I didn't hear from her. And so I sent her a message. I was like, oh, first I just said, how did the wedding go? People are going to offer the information. So she was like, oh, the wedding went very well. It was so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Didn't say anything about the dress. So I was like, oh, did you manage to wear the dress? And she was like, oh yeah, I did. But that was it. She didn't say anything else. And I was like, you know what? Let me not push it. If she said she did, she wore the dress and she was comfortable enough to wear the dress. But I was, to this day, I'm like, I should have just said no. I should have just said no. And she should have just gotten another dress. But let me know, based off of the pictures, what do you think? Do you think that she should have gotten another dress? Or do you think that I made it work as is? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, that was a time that I should have said no. Had no business doing those alterations. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.